Let's see what we got. The elusive positive vibes rise by lifting others. This makes a lot of sense. I have mentioned this before, but I will say it again. My perception of management at my job has evolved over the years, and I think it has evolved with my own maturity and I guess looking at things from their perspective a little more often whilst retaining my own. To give an example, when I was hired, I looked at management as an extension of my teachers, except that they didn't have an obligation to actually care about how I fared, about my well being, or anything like that. It's like, well, you're at a job now. The mentoring that takes place here is mentoring with the intent to protect the company's bottom line and nothing else. I don't care about you as a human being. I don't care about your development. I don't care about how you live at home, anything like that. I looked at it as these are the, I guess, heartless, unscrupulous versions of teachers. They're managing the aspect of work, but they're not interested on whether or not I make it. Whereas a teacher, even if it's not always genuine, because at the end of the day teaching is a job and it's about your bottom line as well, some teachers teach precisely because they do understand the value and meaning of having good teachers and how this is going to shape the men and women of the future. Most teachers end up in that career because they genuinely, legitimately wanted to spend their time helping others, helping people. They understand and value the importance of that in the same manner that everyone else should. I saw management as you do this job because you like to be a ruler, you like to be a leader, you like to be at the top. But this is about you and your own bottom line. But once you leave here, once you punch out, you don't really have to care about what it's doing. Because something like retail, for instance, it's you sell shit that somebody else owns. And they share a little bit of what they make because it's illegal to perform free labor, pretty much. But at the end of the day, it's not like you really see the meaning and the result of your work out there in public. Like, sure, I sold you what you bought because you have to go through me for that to be possible. But it's not like your checkout experience at these stores or online is really shaping your mind or affecting you in any way. The only way it could affect you is if you're not supposed to be shopping like that because you can't afford it, and then down the line it comes back to bite you in the form of some bills you're short for. That's different. But when it comes to actual development and impacts like that, you don't really get to perceive it. Whereas a construction worker, for instance, they can look at a building or a bridge or something like that that they have completed. So the reason I'm taking the time to express all that is to define to you this: rise by lifting others. I have said before that to me, the point of being someone who is a subordinate or someone who is inferior to someone else is that you're supposed to help the sovereign persevere. Let it be in politics, let it be on your job, let it be at home. For instance, at home, if you help your partner persevere, by extension, you benefit too because your household is going to be resourceful. In school, I would say that the principal, but more importantly, the teachers, are the sovereigns. If you cooperate with them, if you don't interrupt the lesson, everything can flow with order. The goal can be achieved and we can advance better and properly through a lesson, and our time is more productive. In a company, I like to support my managers. I like to help them rise, even though I'm supposed to be competing against them to move up the corporate ladder. I knew that that wasn't something I was going to do. And it became very obvious to me when I attempted to be a manager 4 times before. I said, well, at the time, that was the time that was right for me. But in the present, it no longer aligns with my values. My needs for sure, because I definitely could use the extra money. I definitely could use the health insurance, but even with the health insurance, it doesn't mean that I would use it, because I would have to learn what the benefits package actually looks like. And I'm pretty sure that the deductible alone is going to make me not want to indulge in it anyway. The people who I like to support and like to respect and like to help persevere are the very people I'm supposed to be competing against. I'm supposed to be representing some kind of a roadblock, because I'm ambitious. I want to get the things that they're going out for as well. But something I must say about my current squad of superiors is that they don't really look at work like that anymore. I don't know if it's because of how informal we have become, but I remember a time when you could feel the friendly competition. You could feel that it was a competitive landscape. But I think just as much as the values are changing when it comes to what people want out of a job, like 9 to 5 is not cool because it simply does not fit with our schedules anymore. It doesn't fit with our goals or our needs. When you think about it, I think the landscape has become more lax in that regard, because it's really not enticing anymore. The 9 to 5 structure with some degree of benefits used to be the way to sell things now. But now people are more about flexibility and things that feel good on their mental health, and I'm all for it. But I think it's interesting now how I think, because some people were lifting others, we have now risen to expect more. But sometimes I wonder what happened to where that wasn't the need any longer in modern days. I just remember that going to school, of course, it was structured in a way that prepared you to work 8 hours, be obedient for 8 hours, be engaged for 8 hours, be focused for 8 hours. But now we are actually rejecting that, and we're trying to start something new. I think for some people, that's still the ideal way to go. For people like me, I prefer to have fewer hours spent working and more time at home to manage home, because there's a lot that goes into managing a home, no matter how well put together you are. And for me, like I have said before numerous times, I really feel my best when I see others doing better. And I don't know if it's because I absolutely fail myself. I have never been, for instance, able to achieve my fitness goals. I have never been able to achieve my music goals, anything like that. But I look at it as, just because I haven't found what I consider to be someone who's at the disposition to serve as my coach, it doesn't mean that I cannot serve as that for other people. Or maybe I'm just fine the way that I am, and I'm not meant to be someone who is receiving the assistance. Maybe I'm meant to give the assistance, especially considering how often I hand it out. And even when it's not asked, I may suggest it, and I observe how much it means for the people who I get to serve in that manner. And that's something that I only began to realize about a year ago, honestly. And I think it was because I am surrounded now by people who have no fear of expressing themselves. Work, I want to say, has been, of course, because it's my primary source of socializing. It took the landscape of last year for me to see that, because I started hearing from people telling me that they're grateful that I have stuck around and I have the experience that I have and that I'm willing to share, and that it's all in good faith and very honestly. That's when it's like some kind of voice whispered to me, and it said, whatever you do, just help the sovereign persevere. Even if you don't 100% agree with them, at least help them persevere, and you'll see how everything just works out. And I think that the key to making this successful is to be wise about whom you give that power to. Not everybody is going to be deserving of being supported in this fashion. And I think that what has made the difference in my life behaving this way is that I have recognized who I consider to be a good sovereign. It's something that you're going to have to define for yourself. Your parents may not be worthy of it. Your Teachers, I want to say inherently because of their title, they ought to be. But you do know that at the end of the day, teachers are human beings and some of them have their own agendas and ulterior motives, and they don't always align with what's right for students. And that's okay. Just learn how to be a rebel against that in a smart way. And when it comes to your job, same thing. We all know that jobs, of course, because of the competition and the goals that everybody has individually, it's not always going to be easy. You shouldn't really look at people from your job as your family, but sometimes it starts feeling that way because you spend so much time with them. But be very, very wise and selective about who you devote your time during this season to, who you devote your effort to. Listen very intently to what they're saying, what they are working toward. If it's something that aligns well, that it's a good value, such as, well, I'm trying to improve my health, I'm trying to have a family or grow my family, help somebody with their issues and this and that, I think that's good. But if it's something silly like, I just don't want to have so much to do, or I want to have more to engage in recreational activities that aren't really beneficial. Like, for instance, I just want to be able to buy every video game ever. I don't think that's really good. I love video games. Recently, I indulged in one for the first time since like 2020, I think was the last time I bought a game. But I'm keeping that in check. I'm keeping that disciplined. That's something that I think it's going to be available for you at any time. So you just gotta time it right and also create a plan for working toward that. Another thing I don't believe in is traveling. I understand the benefit of traveling and exploring, but some people want to make that their whole identity. Like, I want to work so that I can afford to travel and see things and places, and I will never understand what the magic is, what feeling that gives you about going out and traveling, because the little bit of traveling that I have done domestically, it never really did anything for me. And trust me, that going away is not gonna do it for me. When I'm away from home for more than 2 days, I'm instantly ready to go back. So being on a completely different landmass for longer is not gonna do it for me. Trust me. Try to find out from people who are unlike you why that means a lot to them, and why is it a need to have it quickly and now, versus you can have that goal, you can have that attraction, but why does it have to be now? Slow down, work toward it. So there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope I projected my meaning well. All I'm saying is, yeah, rise by lifting others is good, because when you help others persevere, you can feel your own rise, because you can look at somebody's results and be like, no matter how small a part I took in that, it feels nice that someone is bettering themselves, and that whatever input, however trivial or significant, massive it was, it aided toward the intended goal. That's fine. That's all that matters. Embrace it. And that's pretty much it. Life is really that simple. Help others persevere, but measure the cost. If it's something that you can reasonably afford to do, let it be financially, time wise, and stuff like that, sure, go ahead and do it. But I think people get lost when you get very invested in this and you think that it's the center of the universe now, but then you start to neglect your health, neglect your home, neglect those that you live with. Don't forget about them. That's where problems begin. And if someone tries to point it out to you, listen to them. They're not trying to control you, they're not trying to be manipulative. It's, you are a part of something already, and your neglect is palpable. Shut the fuck up, listen, and figure out how to make it work. But don't completely neglect something because the other thing is occupying you completely. That is the problem that I had with my father. Like, he said, fuck the family 100%. My job is 100%. No, You are going to have to learn to reject and decline opportunities from work. If you do that, then understand how this is going to fuck you up in your personal life. But if you're okay with that and you don't have a personal life and nobody's involved with you or anything like that, you go right ahead. Rule from the moon if you want to. But if you already have other commitments, you will fulfill them. Period. I feel like the problem is that people feel like they can neglect a commitment that's important because something else is as important, but you don't realize that you're making the wrong choice. You just are. When somebody else starts to suffer because of your choice, you already fucked up. Think about that. Especially if the person who's suffering is going to be a child. Don't ever pay with your child. Okay, that's it. Bye.